I speak to you today with feelings of profound sorrow. Through today, I cannot help but feel the weight of history which surrounds us today, alongside the personal grief that all my family are feeling.
Look, it started as whispers behind closed doors at Clarence House. People who never lose their cool were suddenly using words like disaster and catastrophic. And we're not talking about some tabloid headline or awkward family photo here. We're talking about Prince Harry, the guy who is supposed to be the future of the monarchy, now being accused of ripping the whole thing apart, thread by thread. What was meant to be this quiet, hopeful reunion with his dad somehow turned into a full-blown public mess.
Charles! Charles, can we go for a beer? What? Can we go for a beer?
Where?
With accusations, paranoia, and a palace that's officially done. Here's what's crazy, though. The Crown, which literally never steps into the drama, just gave permission for sources to go on record and call him out. Like, that never happens. And Harry's own words? They're what lit the match. So let's break down how a simple tea with his dad became the point of no return. But before we get into it, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Drop a like if you're already curious, because what's coming is wild. All right, let's dive in. So here's what happened. Harry gets invited to Clarence House for tea with his dad.
Harry, I warn you that your return to Britain for the Well Child Awards is not a homecoming.
First real face-to-face they've had in who knows how long. And everyone's thinking, maybe, just maybe, this is the beginning of something good. Like, this could be the moment where things finally start to heal between them, where they can actually sit down and talk like father and son instead of through lawyers and press statements. Keep in mind, though, Harry was lucky to even get this meeting in the first place. We're talking about a guy who spent years writing books about the family, doing tell-all interviews.
Royal drama is boiling over again. And this time, Prince Harry isn't staying silent. Reports claimed that...
And literally airing out every single family secret on Netflix for the whole world to see. Every private conversation, every argument, every moment that should have stayed between family members, all of it packaged up and sold. So the fact that Charles even opened the door after all that, that's not just huge, that's borderline miraculous. But instead of showing up grateful, instead of just keeping things simple and quiet and letting this be what it should have been, a private moment between father and son, Harry starts talking about dark forces working against him.
Prince Harry and King Charles's emotional face-to-face meeting reportedly included hugs and tears. According to an insider, the private
palace conspiracies. People plotting in the shadows to sabotage any chance of them reconnecting. And you can imagine Charles sitting there thinking, what is happening right now? Like, did we just time travel back to some medieval court intrigue? Because here's what was actually going on with the king at that exact moment. He's dealing with running an entire monarchy. He's got his own health issues he's managing. There's a nation watching his every move. And he's trying to hold everything together while juggling all of this.
So here we are again, folks. Prince Harry, the man who somehow manages to take a bad situation and make it work.
It's like trying to hold water in your hands while someone keeps punching holes through your fingers. Just when you think you've got a grip on things, another leak springs up. Another problem appears. And here's the thing that makes this so much worse. This wasn't some one-time slip-up or a bad day where he said something he didn't mean. This is the pattern. This is what Harry does. Gets an opportunity, gets a genuine chance to make things right, to rebuild something, and somehow always finds a way to turn it into drama or controversy.
I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing.
Let's talk about Centibale for a second. This was Harry's charity, his big legacy project that was supposed to show the world what he really cared about. Like, this was meant to be the thing that defined him beyond just being a royal, you know? a charity he co-founded to help kids in Africa. Something genuinely good and meaningful. Except here's the problem. People inside the organization are now calling it a public relations dumpster fire. Yeah, those exact words. Not struggling, not going through a rough patch, a complete disaster. So what happened? He had this massive falling out with the chairwoman, Sandra Chandela. And before you think maybe she was the problem, let me tell you, everyone describes this woman as super decent and respected. Like, she's got a solid reputation, she's known for actually caring about the work. But somehow, things between her and Harry just exploded. The details of their clash got ugly. Things were said publicly that probably should have stayed private, and the whole organization basically fell apart after they couldn't work together anymore.
He has to, as you say, he has to uphold the traditions of the crown and do what is best for the monarchy. And what's best for...
We're talking about something that took years to build just crumbling because two people couldn't get along. See what I mean about the pattern now? It doesn't matter if it's friends, professional relationships, charities he helped create. Every single bridge gets burned. And then he's just standing there alone, looking around, wondering why everyone else is always the problem. It's wild when you think about it. At what point do you start asking yourself, hey, maybe I'm the common factor here? But that reflection doesn't seem to be happening.
I just want to say that His Majesty has also raised a remarkable
Harry and I had to grow up in,
son.
and I'll do everything I can to make
It's not even about having a bad day or making a mistake anymore. It's starting to look like someone who's determined to destroy the very things that are meant to help him succeed, the platforms that could actually showcase the good he wants to do. So the palace had to respond to all this mess, right? And when they did, they used one word to describe Harry's behavior: counterproductive. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, that sounds pretty boring.
Prince Harry has officially reunited with his father, King Charles, at Clarence House, marking the first time the pair have come face to face.
Like something from a corporate email or an HR meeting, I need you to understand something. That's not boring at all. That's royal speak for, you've completely screwed this up and we're done pretending otherwise. The palace doesn't throw words around carelessly. Every single statement, every response, every comment that comes out of there has been carefully thought through, probably reviewed by multiple people, and chosen for maximum impact with...
Morning, sir. Morning.
Are you all working incredibly hard?
Bring back Harry, please, sir. Please.
minimum drama. So when they land on counterproductive, that's deliberate. Let me put this in perspective for you. Remember when the Queen responded to that whole Oprah interview? The one where Harry and Meghan sat down and aired everything out on international television for like 2 hours straight? They talked about family tensions, they brought up issues that had clearly been brewing for years, and millions of people around the world watched it all unfold in real time. The Queen could have responded in so many different ways. She could have put out a long statement defending the family.
Breaking right now. King Charles chooses Prince Harry over the heir to the throne, Prince...
She could have called out specific claims. She could have turned it into this whole back and forth thing. But she didn't do any of that. She came back with just 3 words. Recollections may vary. That's it. 3 little words that absolutely ended the entire debate. No yelling, no long explanations, no fighting in the press. Just this perfectly elegant way of saying, we don't remember it like that and we're not getting into this with you. It was so smooth, so calculated, so precisely cutting.
Well, folks, as we all know, King Charles met with Prince Harry.
That everyone just stopped talking about it because what else could you even say? You can't argue with that. It shuts down the conversation without looking petty or defensive. Same exact energy here with counterproductive. When the palace uses that word, they're not being polite or diplomatic in the way you might think. They mean destructive. They mean dangerous. They mean we're done with you and this behavior needs to stop right now. It's a warning shot wrapped up in fancy language.
I think something happened when he met Meghan. I think he suddenly had a lot came to the surface. In fact, he said this in Spare. A lot of the stuff he'd been pushing.
The kind of thing that sounds professional on the surface, but everyone in the room knows exactly what it really means. It's like when your mom uses your full name instead of your nickname, you know you've crossed a line. And here's what makes this whole thing even crazier. Harry genuinely thinks he's helping. Like, in his mind, he's swooping into England as some kind of hero who's gonna save the day and fix everything. He's positioning himself as the one who can pick up the slack while William and Catherine are dealing with their own challenges and health stuff.
Harry, listen carefully. There is no place for a half-in, half-out role in this family. The monarchy...
He probably sees himself as stepping up when his family needs him most. Can you imagine how that sounds to everyone else, though? Can you imagine how the palace reacted when they heard he was framing it that way? It's like Count Dracula showing up at a blood bank going, "Hey everyone, I'm here to volunteer. I heard you needed help. Just point me to where the donations are and I'll get right to work." Like, my guy, maybe read the room. The disconnect between what he thinks is happening and what's actually happening is just staggering. The gap between his perception and reality couldn't be wider if he tried.
Harry, listen to me carefully. The documents you submitted in your litigation have dragged William and Catherine into...
Okay, so let's shift over to California for a minute, because this is where things get really interesting. Harry's living in Montecito now, right? And according to him, he's living his absolute best life. You see the photos, the perfectly manicured garden, the chicken coops that look like they belong in a lifestyle magazine, these carefully staged walks where everyone's smiling at just the right moment. It's all very picture perfect, very, look how happy and free we are now that we've escaped.
It was the king arriving back at Clarence House from Scotland that signaled it might be happening.
But here's my question, and I think it's a fair one. If you're really that happy, if you're genuinely content with your life and the choices you've made, why do you need to keep announcing it to everyone? Like, constantly? It's giving the same energy as that friend on social media who posts gym selfies every single day talking about their fitness journey and how great they feel. But somehow, 3 years later, they look exactly the same. And you start wondering if they're actually going to the gym or just taking photos in the parking lot.
William and Charles's relationship is understood to have gone from strength to strength over the past few months, particularly
when someone's truly happy, truly at peace with where they are in life, they just live it. They don't need to convince anyone because it shows. The constant declarations of, "I'm so happy, we're so happy, this was the best decision ever," that's not confidence. That's someone trying really hard to convince themselves as much as everyone else. And every single time Harry talks about why he comes back to the UK, it's always the same script. "I'm just here for my charities. I want to spend time with family. This is about my patronages."
It was the king arriving back at Clarence House from Scotland that signaled it might be happening. And then...
But it rings so hollow at this point. It sounds less like genuine reasons and more like lines someone rehearsed in front of a mirror before facing the cameras. Like he knows what he's supposed to say, what sounds good and reasonable, but there's no real feeling behind it. It's damage control disguised as sincerity. And people can tell the difference. You can hear it in the way he says it, see it in the awkward energy of those statements. Because here's the thing about constantly telling people you're secure and happy.
Harry broke down the moment he opened Charles's final inheritance letter. No land, no titles, no heirlooms, just a handwritten note.
It's the biggest tell that you're not. Nobody who's actually living a great life feels the need to put out press releases about it every other week. They're too busy actually enjoying that life to worry about what everyone else thinks. The harder Harry pushes this "look how fine I am" narrative, the more transparent it becomes that maybe things aren't as perfect as the Instagram posts suggest. And honestly, that's kind of sad when you really think about it. So now we need to talk about what happened after all of this, because
Enough is enough. I make a final decision, and Prince Harry will never return to the royal family. The monarchy...
Charles's response is honestly unprecedented. Listen, royals just don't do public call-outs. It's not their style. It goes against everything they've been trained to do since birth. The whole playbook for the royal family has always been never complain, never explain. Keep your head down, stay dignified, don't get dragged into the mud no matter what anyone says about you. But Charles was so fed up that he personally gave permission for palace officials to go on record about what was really happening.
From Harry and Meghan's withdrawal from the royal family and settling in the United States in 2020 to their subsequent revelation.
Think about that for a second. The king himself authorized people to essentially say, yeah, my son's version of events isn't accurate. That's massive. When royals break their own rules like this, when they abandon the strategy that's worked for decades, you know something serious has gone down. And you can understand why Charles reached that point. The man is genuinely hurt. People close to him describe him as mystified, like he can't wrap his head around how this happened. He thought this meeting was going to be a step in the right direction.
We are all visitors to this time, this place. We are just passing through.
A chance to actually connect with his son again after years of distance. And then Harry turns it into another media circus with conspiracy theories. Can you imagine how that must feel? You extend an olive branch despite everything, and it gets thrown back in your face with accusations on top of it. The palace wasn't correcting some tiny detail. They were shutting down Harry's claims that the palace itself is actively plotting against him, deliberately trying to sabotage any chance of reconciliation. And honestly, that claim is so out there that even people who've worked in royal circles for decades were just shaking their heads. It's one thing to have family disagreements. It's another thing entirely to start talking about shadowy forces working behind the scenes to destroy your life. That's when people start getting genuinely concerned. So here's where we need to address something that a lot of people are thinking, but nobody really wants to say out loud. Harry wrote about doing substances in his memoir, right?
Happy early birthday to the Duke of Montecito. Meghan Markle's...
We're talking about weed, mushrooms, the whole thing. He put it all out there in his book for everyone to read, didn't hold back on any of the details. And look, I'm not here to judge anyone for their past. Lots of people experiment when they're younger, make choices they wouldn't make now, and move on with their lives. That's normal. That's life. But here's what's making people uncomfortable now. He's talking about dark forces working against him, conspiracies happening in the shadows, people deliberately sabotaging his relationships and trying to keep him away from his family.
Harry, my son, listen, and listen well. From this moment onward...
And some of his old friends, the ones who were actually there during those years, are quietly connecting dots that maybe they shouldn't ignore. The question that keeps coming up in private conversations, and again, nobody wants to be the one to actually say this publicly because it sounds harsh and judgmental, is whether those years left some lasting effects that we're seeing play out now. Friends who knew him back in the day, people who partied with him and saw what was happening, they're wondering if what they're seeing now might be connected to what happened then.
At Charles and Camilla's wedding, only Harry dared to show his anger, throwing flowers at his father. Despite being
the paranoia, the conspiracy thinking, the absolute conviction that everyone's out to get him and there's some coordinated effort to destroy his life. It's a pattern that has some people genuinely worried about where his head's at. And then there's the whole visa situation, which just makes everything messier and raises even more questions. He admitted to heavy substance use in his book, laid it all out in detail, but this came after he'd already filled out his visa paperwork for the United States. So now there's questions about what he actually disclosed.
we have had a statement in the last few minutes from Buckingham Palace, who are as clear as they can be. All of these issues have been examined.
When he was applying, whether everything lined up the way it was supposed to, and it's created this whole legal headache that just won't go away. It follows him everywhere. Every time he makes a statement now, every time he talks about feeling targeted or undermined or plotted against, there's this credibility issue hanging over it all like a cloud. People are asking, okay, but can we trust what you're saying, or is this part of a bigger pattern we're watching unfold? The people who used to be in his corner, the ones who defended him through everything and stood by him when things got rough,
and devotion as sovereign never wavered through times of
they're starting to whisper things like he's not well and he's trapped in his own anger. And you can see why they'd think that when you look at what keeps happening. It's this cycle that just keeps repeating over and over. Blow up at someone, burn that bridge, disappear for a while, come back and blow up at someone else, lose more supporters every single time. The list of people he's alienated just keeps getting longer. At some point, you've got to step back and ask what's really driving all of this.
Why King Charles hates Prince Harry. When William was born, Charles always wanted a daughter, but Princess Diana gave birth.
Is it the palace actively working against him like he claims? Is it the media twisting everything he says? Or is it something deeper, something more personal that nobody wants to acknowledge because it's uncomfortable to even think about? So let's talk about what's actually going on inside Buckingham Palace. Because the people working there are not holding back anymore, at least not in private. They're calling Harry a walking crisis, not a challenge, not a difficult situation, a full-blown crisis that just keeps creating problems everywhere he goes.
But here's where it gets really ugly. First on Harry's wish list, he wants his security reinstated.
This is someone they literally cannot trust with anything anymore. You can't have a private conversation. You can't extend a gesture of goodwill. You can't try to meet him halfway because somehow it all ends up twisted and leaked and turned into the next big headline. That meeting with Charles that should have been this really sweet moment between father and son. Total embarrassment in their eyes, not because of what happened in the room necessarily, but because of what happened after. Word is, Charles regrets even agreeing to it in the first place.
Prince Harry has finally broken his silence after an emotional reunion with King Charles amid the king's cancer battle.
And not because he doesn't love his son or want to fix things. He regrets it because he knows how these things go now. He knows that nothing stays private, nothing stays sacred, and every attempt at reconciliation just becomes more ammunition for the next round of public drama. This is a family that has literally built its survival on keeping things private, on handling issues behind closed doors where they can actually be resolved. And Harry, he's like a loudspeaker that never turns off.
To forgive, and what I will probably always struggle to forgive, is that a decision that was made in 2020.
Everything gets broadcast, everything gets analyzed, everything becomes content. Now, here's what's interesting and honestly kind of sad when you think about it. William saw all of this coming, like years ago. He was warning people about his brother's impulsiveness, the constant need for validation from everyone around him, the complete inability to just stay quiet and let things settle. William watched the pattern develop and he tried to say something, tried to pump the brakes before it all went off the rails. And he was right.
No wonder next week will be Harry and Charles's final meeting. 3 key details reveal the truth. Firstly, when the media...
He called it. Now he's not sitting there going, I told you so, or rubbing it in anyone's face, because that's not his style, and frankly, he's got way bigger things to worry about. But there's definitely this sense among people close to him of, like, yeah, he knew exactly how this would play out. And the thing is, their dad has always had a soft spot for Harry. Always. That's his son, that's his boy, and you can't just turn off those feelings no matter how frustrated you get.
Have you ever seen a single moment so tiny, so ordinary, and yet so explosive that it changes everything in front of
that soft spot, that willingness to keep giving chances and keep trying to find a way through? It ended up costing way more than anyone expected. Not just in terms of public embarrassment or media headaches, but in terms of trust within the family, stability within the institution, and the emotional toll on everyone involved. At a certain point, even the most patient parent has to draw a line. So outside the palace walls, public opinion is all over the place.
Breaking news! King Charles's office has announced that a historic royal palace will be prepared for Harry and Meghan as they get ready to...
You've got people who still look at Harry and see that little boy walking behind his mother's coffin. They remember the soldier who actually served his country. The prince who could light up a room and make crowds smile just by showing up. There's genuine sympathy there, real affection for who he used to be. And those people wonder where that guy went. What happened to turn him into this version we're seeing now? It's like watching someone you used to know become a completely different person.
Brace yourselves, because Prince Harry is in the hot seat yet again. And this time, it's not just drama.
And not in a good way. But then you've got the other side, and honestly, they're getting louder. These are the people who see a millionaire sitting in a California mansion complaining about how hard his life is while regular folks are struggling to pay rent and put food on the table. To them, his whole "I'm being sabotaged" narrative feels absolutely absurd. Like, my guy, you've still got more privilege in your pinky finger than most people will see in their entire lives. You're living in one of the most expensive zip codes in America.
Took myself and Prince Harry to the North Pole last
did you?
time round.
Oh, did you? That was brave.
You've got Netflix deals and book contracts, and you're talking about being undermined. Read the room. And here's where it gets almost funny in a sad kind of way. When his office fired back at newspapers, trying to call them out for lies and made up stories, they accidentally confirmed details that actually proved the papers were telling the truth. It's like the most amateur mistake you could make in PR. You're trying to deny something, but in your denial, you end up validating exactly what they reported.
Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, because now, after months of cold stares and deafening...
Classic rookie error. You cannot win a public relations battle against an institution that's been perfecting this game for literally centuries. They know every move, every counter move, every trap you're about to walk into before you even see it coming. Every statement that comes out of Harry's camp sounds like it was written by lawyers at 2 a.m, panicking over every word choice. It's all this careful defensive language that just screams damage control. And the thing is, when you're constantly in damage control mode, when...
To be honest, I deeply regret hurting Diana because of Camilla. That day at the Taj Mahal was supposed to...
Every response has to be run through legal review and carefully crafted to avoid saying the wrong thing. People notice. They can feel the desperation coming through the polished words. It's exhausting to watch, and it's gotta be even more exhausting to live. So here's where we are now, and this is the part that's really final. Any chance Harry had of coming back to royal life in any public capacity, it's gone. Not maybe someday, not let's revisit this in a few years.
So I thought this was kind of interesting. So obviously we've got King Charles now.
Charstorino, Feninis, Si, Chivera. There's no compromise deal on the table, no half and half out arrangement where he gets to pick and choose which parts of royal life he wants to participate in. The late Queen already shut that idea down when Harry and Meghan first tried to float it. And after this latest mess with the Clarence House meeting and all the accusations that followed, Charles isn't even thinking about revisiting the question. That door is closed and locked. If Harry gets invited to anything royal in the future, and that's a big if, it's gonna be super controlled, super brief, and heavily managed. We're talking about showing up for the absolute bare minimum family occasions, where his absence would be more of a story than his presence. And even then, it'll be handled like a diplomatic mission, with every minute planned out and every interaction monitored. The palace simply cannot afford to risk another private conversation ending up as an international headline the next day. They can't deal with another round of he said, they said playing out in the media.
Breaking today, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle finally agree to...
while they're trying to actually run things and fulfill their duties. Here's what makes this particularly sad, though. Once you lose trust in royal circles, you basically never get it back. It's not like regular relationships where you can have a big fight, apologize, work through it, and eventually rebuild. The royal family operates on a completely different level when it comes to trust and discretion. There are no second chances when you've shown you can't keep things private. There's no reset button when you've demonstrated that every gesture of goodwill becomes a weapon used against them later.
5 minutes ago, just 5. That's all it took for the royal family to drop one of the most shocking announcements.
And the heartbreaking part of all this? Harry actually had a chance. It wasn't a wide open door with a red carpet rolled out, but it was there. A crack in the door, a genuine opportunity to show he'd changed, that he could be trusted again, that he understood how much damage had been done and was willing to do the work to repair it. All he had to do was show up to that meeting, keep his mouth shut afterward, take things slowly, prove through actions instead of words that things could be different this time. Instead, he let suspicion guide him.
But let me tell you that her legacy was not bitter. Her legacy was strength, unity, and
He let bitterness make his decisions. He walked into that room already convinced everyone was against him, and the mindset guaranteed the exact outcome he was afraid of. So here's where this whole story ends up, and honestly, it's kind of tragic when you really sit with it. The door was open. That's the thing everyone needs to understand about this situation. It wasn't wide open with fanfare and celebrations, but it was there, this tiny window of opportunity.
To him. It was supposed to be a step toward rebuilding trust, a small but powerful move toward healing a
to actually rebuild something real with his father, to prove that he'd learned from everything that happened, to show that he could be trusted again. And all Harry had to do was walk through it quietly, keep his head down, demonstrate through his actions instead of his words that things could be different. But he couldn't do it. Instead, he chose accusations over reconciliation every single time. Every opportunity to stay quiet, he spoke up. Every chance to show patience, he demanded immediate results.
Less formal atmosphere compared to Buckingham Palace. They wanted an intimate setting to ease back into their personal connection without any pressure.
Every moment that called for trust, he brought suspicion. And now the story's locked in, the narrative's been written, and there's no going back to edit it. You've got a king who's dealing with too much to keep enabling this cycle of drama. You've got a brother who's completely moved on, focused on his own family and his own future. And you've got a prince who destroyed himself with his own words, his own choices, his own inability to see that he was the one lighting the matches. The monarchy keeps going, it always does. That's kind of the whole point of it. It's bigger than any one person.
Let's get straight to it. Harry apparently believed that his father, the actual king of the United Kingdom, should carve out special...
Even princes who were supposed to be part of its future. The institution rolls forward, adapts, continues. While Harry's standing outside the gates, he used to walk through like he owned the place. And here's the saddest part. He still doesn't get it. He's still convinced he's the hero of this story. Still thinking he's the one who sees clearly while everyone else is blind or corrupt or plotting against him. Still wondering why everyone keeps walking away when he's right there trying to help. This is a guy who had absolutely everything.
That reconciliation part now. If they don't want that, that's entirely up to them.
The privilege, the platform, the family, the public's affection, the resources to do genuine good in the world. And he lost it all. Not because of some grand conspiracy, not because dark forces were working against him, but because of choices he made repeatedly, consistently, even when people were begging him to stop. He can't figure out that he's the reason why this all fell apart, and that might be the most heartbreaking thing about this entire mess. Because until he sees his own role in all of this, until he understands that you can't burn every bridge and then complain about being isolated, nothing's gonna change. The gates will stay closed, the family will move forward without him, and he'll keep standing on the outside, convinced everyone else is the problem.